In my series The Power of Caring, which I created back in 1989, I continually return to this simple and yet for many elusive connection, where I am emphasizing unconditional love so strongly because it is such a vital quality for human growth. To know that I am valuable enough just because I am me, and to be loved regardless of how I act. However, in my work I continually find that the belief that love is doing something to or for somebody, and so rather than love being centered within us, it is clearly always centered within someone else. This naturally leaves us feeling how our energy is constantly being drained from us, rather than experiencing such energy expanding and filling our day-to-day lives. Let's take a break and then return and take a look at some of the common ways of exchanging, and thereby exploring different forms of love. Friendship love is not as loaded with emotion and feeling, for as the relationship starts with liking each other, and then this liking just grows into something more, which might be called love. It is cooler, lacking in the passion of romantic love. Sex is not as important to the friendship lover, often developing long after the relationship has begun. This is one of the most stable styles of loving, and it is not unusual for people who develop this style of loving to remain good friends even if the relationship ends, because their love was based upon mutual respect and friendship rather than strong emotional feelings. Game-playing love regards the relationship as a game with certain rules to follow, and game players are not as interested in intimacy as romantic lovers. In fact, they may have several simultaneous relationships in order to avoid closeness and intimacy. Such lovers tend to make up their own special rules, and their relationship will follow whatever rules are most convenient. For example, there is the needy style of loving that tends to be full of possessiveness and dependency. This style of loving is very emotional, and such intensity makes the relationship unstable. The people involved tend to have difficulty maintaining the relationship because they feel intense emotions such as jealousy, possessiveness, which naturally results in insecurity. Some look for another relationship within a short time in order to be happy, based on an immature style of dependent and possessive love. The practical lover takes a realistic look at their partner and decides on a rational and intellectual basis if this love is appropriate. This sort of partner will make sure that there is a similarity in spiritual or religious, political, financial views on handling money, as well as family life. Naturally, they will include exploring any failings in their partner's family, socio-economic status, characteristics in the way they look, as well as for some form of genetic makeup. The practical lover will choose someone with whom it makes good sense to love. The altruistic lovers may be somewhat other-person-centered in being very willing to meet the needs of the other person. When this is carried to the extreme, the altruistic lover may become the martyr, based on meeting other people's needs by giving all of their energy, money, and time to the other person. Then there is the authentic altruistic lover, who is someone with a full heart and enough inner strength to be able to love another person in a very unselfish manner. And it's interesting to note from my experience and the experiences of colleagues how such a person has a powerful spiritual belief. Each person is obviously a mixture of these styles, and there is no one style that fits us all at all times. Understanding your own mixture of styles is very important when you enter a committed relationship or partnership with another person. One couple with whom I was doing marriage counselling had a great deal of difficulty because he was a friendship lover and she a romantic lover. She felt that his cool love was not love at all, and he felt her romantic love was unstable. His style of loving was to take care of her, provide for her needs, and stay with her in the relationship as proof of his love. When she asked him to say, "I love you," and to express other romantic thoughts and feelings, so that she felt loved, he could not answer. They had difficulty in communicating and understanding each other's viewpoints, because their basic beliefs about what love was and was not were incompatible. At this point, and as a guide, how about the question, how do we learn to love ourselves? And, as we have seen, the answer is not always easy. So here are some specific exercises that will help with learning to love yourself. However, before beginning, think of a time in your life when you started to make changes. They may have been when you first had difficulties in your relationship, or when the two of you first separated, or, for that matter, when you decided to work with me in the rebuilding process. Make a list of changes that you have made, the personal growth that you have experienced since that time, and the things that you've learned about yourself, others, and of course life. Consider the feeling of confidence you have gained from learning these things and getting more in control of your own life. That confidence is what provides you with good, positive feelings, and then the length of your list may come as a pleasant surprise. I'm indebted to Virginia Satir, who devised a method of helping people learn to gain more self-love, which I'd like to introduce you to. She asked people to make a list of 5 objectives that could describe them. After you've made this list, go through and put a plus or a minus sign after each word to indicate whether you think this is a positive or negative. After you've done this, look at the minus and see if you can find any positive statements about that particular word in terms of a quality or aspect of your personality. For example, a woman in one of the seminars listed bitchy. When questioned by the group about it, she said how her husband constantly referred to her in this way. As she began to talk about it, the group realized what he called bitchiness, she called assertiveness, in the sense of a positive way to stick up for herself. So, once now she understood the difference of labels, she was able to accept that as a part of herself, and now feel good about it. After all, that is what self is, learning to accept ourselves for what and who we really are. As Carl Rogers stated, when we learn to accept ourselves for who and what we are, then that often gives us permission to grow, change, and become something different, where we can embrace the next unfolding stages of our life. However, for as long as you don't accept a part of who you are, you will naturally have trouble changing that part. We all need to discover that it's okay not to be okay in certain areas of our life. We have all had traumatic experiences that have left us wounded, and times when we did not feel loved. But those experiences are a part of our life, and living such a life. We are not perfect, because we are human beings, and when we learn to accept some of the non-okay things about us, then we are in balance, where such balance allows us to become authentic. Okay, how does one learn to love another person? What causes the feelings of love for another person to begin? Perhaps it was a kind and thoughtful deed they did, maybe by doing something that met your needs, or they made you feel good about yourself. So, if you were to set aside a period of time tomorrow to do something that really felt good and made you feel okay about yourself, then that could be a way of learning to love yourself more fully and completely. After all, it would be you that was capable of doing something kind and lovable for you. In my work and in my own life, the most important method of learning to love yourself has been to give permission to love yourself. And if you can decide that it's okay, and not selfish or self-centered to love yourself, Maybe you can allow yourself to move into a place where you have feelings of self-love. As we finish and prepare for our next one-to-one session, the growth that you've achieved is something that no one has done for you, and so no one can take it away from you. Your life is in your control, through the heartfelt knowledge about yourself and others. To that extent, you are not at the mercy of other people anymore. Let the good feelings of your development at this stage in your life become heartfelt. Let yourself just feel love for you for a while. Because it's not just okay to feel love for yourself. No, it's more than okay. It is the way that life is meant to be. Here is the checklist for our next one-to-one session. 1. I feel I am lovable. 2. I'm not afraid of being loved. 3. I'm not afraid of loving another. 4. I have an understanding of what I believe love is. 5. I am living a lifestyle that is in balance with my definition of love. 6. I feel comfortable with meeting my own needs rather than feeling and labeling myself as selfish. 7. I am able to accept love from others. 8. I am able to express love to others in a way that makes them feel loved. 9. I am able to love myself. 10. I have experienced a great deal of personal growth since my crisis began. And finally, 11. I am trying to develop my immature, needy, dependent parts of love into a more mature style of loving. The end.